All right, today is the first day of plant 22. Kind of cold today. I need another layer on. It's in the 40s. We got the tractor hooked up, Great Plains PL 5700 planter hooked up, and then our fertilizer cart. And we've got the seed loaded already. We're working on filling the cart up with fertilizer, and then we're gonna get started here. First field of corn, 2022. All right, we are off to a good start, and putting on our fertilizer 2x2. We're planting a 20,000 population on the pivot corners, and then it bumps up where the pivot is to, I think, 25,000. So we're doing some variable rate seeding here with the top con system. So depending on where you're at in the US, some of you might think that corn population is really low. Some of you might think it's really high, or it's just different than yours. Everywhere you go in the US, your seed population is going to be different. Even our irrigated ground, we don't like to bump the population any higher than that. It gets really hot and dry here in central Kansas, and we have limited irrigation water on this field. It's not full irrigation. We pump out of a pond/reservoir that we built many years ago, and so we can put a couple passes of water on it, but it's not truly irrigated. So lots of factors in play of why we plant the populations that we do, but those are some of the reasons anyway. You can see the irrigation pivot. We split this irrigated field in half just so that we can water at 2 different times. Today is April 18th. Today is April 18th, it's a Monday, and this is generally when we like to start planting corn, is right in the middle of April. We're hardly ever any earlier than this. Soil conditions are pretty good. It's not too wet for sure. Maybe on the dry side in a few places, but corn's going into the ground really well. It certainly doesn't feel like it's going to get wet and rainy this year. We really haven't had much rain at all. We had that 1.5 inches, and then we've had a couple 1/4 inch rains in the last couple weeks, but definitely still dry. All of our ponds are still dry. There's been no runoff for a year, it feels like. And so, yeah, we're not too worried about the weather this year, but Kansas can always change in a hurry. So getting this field knocked out. The wheat is hanging on after that 1.5 inches of rain a couple weeks ago, but it could sure use another drink. This is that cover crop we grazed last year, using the Kubota Sidekick to check on the Great Plains planter. That's what I call teamwork right there. These deer are too tame. Gonna get hit.
Alright, starting a new field. This is Miller 2, and I'm going to go to a new field, which we didn't plant Miller 2 last year, so it's not on here. So I'm just going to add a new field. It's in Miller's. Okay, then I'm going to start my new job. I don't really worry about naming the job because I know ISO 6 is the planter. Now once I have a job made, I go to my VRC prescription, and I'm going to go to Miller 2, and I'm going to use the second one because I adjusted it some, and hit next. So then my channel 1, I want to use it. My channel 2 is my fertilizer, which is a ground drive pump, so it has no VRC control. Then we want rate, and then I want my default to be 22,000. So if for some reason I plant somewhere that is out of bounds, it doesn't do 0, it plants something. So there's my map. Pretty simple. I'm sure people do a lot more complicated maps, but especially for the first year, I kept it simple, and we don't have actual like yield data to get maps off of, so I kind of made the maps based on my history of the ground and some of what we've seen from the Farmer's Edge satellite imagery, and they helped me develop some of those. So I kind of simplified it down from that, and essentially it's mostly just low spots that stay wetter longer, have more water holding capacity, and more water leaches down to, and then the high spots of the field I'm planting thinner. And then of course when we get to the irrigated field next, or well two fields from now, the corners will be planted dry land like this in the 20,000 range, and then the irrigated will be up at like 30,000 seeds per acre. So we've been able to kind of manually adjust. The old planter, we'd have to go change sprockets, or like the drill, we can push the buttons, but once we can use this VRC, it just changes it for us, which is really nice. So I'm gonna have to make a new AB line for this. Turn on my master switch, add an AB line. I'm gonna call it Miller 2, and then I put north-south if I'm making it a 0 degree line, which I like to do as often as possible, is just make it straight north and south or straight east and west, and then I can match up with the sprayer easier. There's ways I can save the AB line or whatever and share them back and forth, but this is the simplest way for me to do it. And then I'm gonna go over here. I guess we'll leave that at, I set that for 34. The other thing is I make sure task controller is green. That means the variable rate map is controlling it. Okay, I'm ready to start. Turn on my fans. Ready to go. Okay, I planted a ways, and I'm gonna go check the depth. I like to use the markers on the outside round just to have something to watch, I guess. So sometimes it's easiest to check there. We're right at the 2 inches. Maybe a hair deep, but and I like to check it actually in the ground. I've never felt the best at digging up seed. There, it was right there. So the last field had more residue, so I had it set pretty deep. I think I might knock it back a touch here, it seems like it's going a 1/4 inch too deep. So, because this field we hayed and we grazed, so it doesn't have near as much to cut through on top. I checked because I knew it could be different. So everything else looks good.
All right, today is day 3 of corn planting. Got 2 more fields to go. This one is one of the nicest fields we farm, so we're excited to see how corn does here. Nathan's been drilling this morning, and I'm going to switch him off and go over lunch, and then he'll probably switch me back off this afternoon. We've been tag teaming it so far, Nathan and I. It's still windy, so normally we'd be spraying at the same time as we're planting, but it's been too windy to spray all week. We're hoping maybe late tonight or early tomorrow we could get some spraying done. Wind's supposed to go below 15 miles an hour, but it's been, I would say the wind has been above 15, 20 miles an hour for the last, like 90% of the last 3 weeks. It's been outrageous. Gonna do a quick fertilizer fill before I get started.
State of Kansas, find huge savings on brand name mattresses.
Good job, Nathan, picking up those sticks.
Sleeper sofas plus bedroom and dining room sets, along with
That is going to be a nice cornfield. As long as it rains. Pray for rain.
You like doing that? La. Too much up.
We're just eating our food. Nom 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 nom. Don't spit it out. She's just about to chewing, not about to eating.